G'day and welcome to Snap Happy, the photography show. I'm Jason Edwards.
And I'm Maddie Sloane. Jace, what are we up to this week?
Well, I've been exploring my hometown Melbourne, capturing some street photography. And I also caught up with a local artist who's painted some incredible murals around the city, but also internationally. What about you, Mads?
I went to the Sunshine Coast and met up with Darran Leal, who took this award-winning image.
And it's a great shot. I love macro photography that shows worlds within worlds. And this image, when you see it close up, there is so much detail and so much to see.
All this and more in today's episode of Snap Happy, the photography show. Some people love to travel and take photos, and I am one of them. Now, imagine just for a second that your job was to travel, take photos, and share the experience with a bunch of like-minded people. Well, that is exactly what Darran Leal does.
It all started for me back in 1980 professionally when I started as a pro photographer on Norfolk Island. Then for several years I travelled Australia, and 1989 I actually took my first Darran Leal photo tour to Norfolk Island.
And when you're picking where to go, is there a specific place or it's kind of like, no, we're going to go here?
I listen to customers a lot, so really lucky we've got a very strong group of photographers that love to join our adventures.
And what's the motto you're giving these guys when they're going over there? Is it all about, you know, the technical side, or is it about having a good time, the experience?
It's a bit of both because it's a holiday, although sometimes they say, Darran, can we have a break? Because we're up early in the morning and late at night, that sort of thing. But it's you know, really putting together a few days where people can enjoy a particular place. You know, we just got back from Africa, for example. We're shooting Himba people there. It was our last shoot. So they're very unusual people that live in a very special way, and we got to experience how they live, photograph the kids, photograph the adults. We do it all correctly, so to speak, you know, from a perspective of not encroaching on their culture, of course, and from that we're on the spot saying, hey guys, you might want to try this aperture, you might want to try this angle, with a view that we encourage them to get photos beyond what I might take myself, for example.
Now, what's everyone's role in the business with the family?
So for myself, I put an itinerary together. As I said, listen to customers, do some homework, and this is usually 2 years in advance. We then progress to putting the information up on the website, and that'll be our youngest son Fraser does that. He's a real IT guru, and that'll progress then to bookings and that type of thing, which Julia will be involved with. I do the marketing side of it, but again, we all get involved in some way. We're all asking each other questions and helping each other. And then finally we go on tour, and that's where Pearce and myself, very hands-on, directly involved.
So would you say you get the best job?
I say I work damn hard, but I have a great job, there's no doubt. There's not many photographers in the world that get someone else paying them to take them somewhere.
What was it like having a dad that was travelling and just photographing all your life?
He would be showing us photos from all these amazing places from all over the world, and you know, telling us all these stories, and I think probably in my life it's influenced me quite a bit and influencing my photography right now for sure. Yeah,
so when you picked up your first camera, how old were you?
That was probably when I finished school, so like 4 years ago. It wasn't actually just because of Dad, it was probably more so because I was like really into surf and really wanted to capture that culture. With all this surf photography, I asked Dad, you know, would it be all right if I tagged along on a trip? And he said, yeah, that'd be cool. And he sort of just let me hang out in the background and do my own thing, and sort of really grew from there.
So when you're going on these trips, what's the best part about them?
I think for me, it's actually just meeting a bunch of new people that that we've never met. And being able to teach people is actually pretty cool at my age. I know I don't know everything, but yes, it's amazing to do that and take these people to these amazing places all over the world, and obviously to be able to experience it all.
And where is your favourite place you've been so far?
Dad and I were talking about this last night. I don't really have a particular place just because there's so many, and you know, every place in the world has a special facet in some way. But I'm sure, like for me, I just try to make the best out of any situation I'm in and try and make it special.
Now, do you have a favourite image that you've shot that's a standout from everything you've ever done on these trips?
Yeah, there's multiple images again, because there's literally terabytes of images there. But yeah, there's 3 giraffes that I photographed in 2008, which stand out, Okakuyo and Etosha in Namibia. It was a 3-second exposure, and I'm literally there saying, don't move for 3 seconds. There's a water drop shot that I won an award with years ago with BBC Wildlife that I really like too. They pride of place on our walls at home.
Street photography is the art of capturing candid images in public places. The goal should be to create images unaffected by you as the photographer. Some photographers will tell you that the secret to street photography success is making yourself invisible. It takes time and it takes practice. Be careful though, try not to offend or insult anyone, and by all means, don't break the law. One of the best ways to get great street photography is just by picking a location and spending some time there, sitting quietly watching what's going on around you. Eventually, something or someone will come past that'll make a great photo. Have a little patience. The essence of street photography is all about capturing that decisive moment. You still need to compose carefully with all your elements in the correct places, but it really is about the right subject at the right time. I've met up with Mike Macker, a graphic artist based in Melbourne City. He's created public artwork all around the world and has even painted a mural on the Berlin Wall. So Mike, how did you get started in this art world?
Yeah, I guess it's an accumulation of time, but straight out of high school I was riding bikes as a courier and then studying on and off three different places, New York, Adelaide, Melbourne, and then it wasn't really a reality as a full-time job till 27, 28.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So was it a passion for you even as a child?
For sure, yeah. My house actually, we drew all over the walls, and we had the old part of the house and 4 sisters and a brother, and we just went to town, yeah.
All of you?
Everyone, yeah.
Where can people see your work? Where have you painted?
Going to New York tomorrow, so I still have a few walls there, but lived in Berlin for a while and Brazil many times.
Fantastic. So Mike, this is one of your pieces and it literally covers AC/DC lane. How long does something like this take to design and paint?
Would have been 2 days with five and a half guys.
Wow, and it's a lot of paint, isn't it?
Yeah, we've done it for 3-4 years, and every year just keep taking over a little bit more.
Photographers love to shoot art.
Yeah.
How do you feel about photographers documenting your art and then maybe disseminating that through their media?
I think it's really great everyone's documented it, and there's this kind of like it's like a weird subculture of this scene where these people get competitive and they want to be the first to vlog it. And the only thing that artists would have problems with is when people start making money or not attributing things.
Correct, yeah. So how do you feel about taggers?
In some ways, it's like part of the texture, it's part of the world. I don't like it when it's on my work. Most people in the world don't like it, especially building owners.
Have you had it happen?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Everyone,
Yeah.
Nothing lasts forever. And that's one of the good things and bad things about painting on the street is it is ephemeral, it's not going to be there forever. And this one actually just got messed up twice by trucks.
Oh,
Squeeze in the lane, I fixed it up, yeah.
Yeah, wow. When I'm photographing public art pieces like this, I try and interpret what the artist's message is, and I zoom in on particular sections. You know, the curves, the colours, the intricate detail, they're the things that matter for me. But I also make sure I take a picture of the overall scene to get the true context of what they've created. Now, the artists that create these amazing pieces are very talented, but they're like the rest of us. They need a little bit of credit for the work that they do. So if you're planning to photograph street art, try and include the artist's name. It's normally credited somewhere on the piece. If you're planning to use that work for commercial purposes or for any other purpose than publicising that artist, please try and contact them. They deserve that much. There are so many things to photograph in the city. Take your time and soak up the atmosphere. Photographic opportunities will present themselves. Happy shooting.
G'day, my name's Darran Leal. I'm from World Photo Adventures, and this is what's in my kit. Camera-wise, I generally travel just with one camera, and I've got a general purpose lens permanently set to that. So this is just a 24 to 105 lens. I love to use a super wide angle lens. So this is a 16 to 35 millimeter lens. And finally, my last lens, I've got a 100 to 400 millimeter lens. So I find in 3 lenses, I can cover the complete gamut of subjects that I like to shoot. I do use a flash, but I just got a little tiny flash. So again, because I travel a lot, I don't want to take a lot of equipment. I used to own big 500mm lenses and stuff like that. I sold that and bought a boat instead. And really what I want to do is keep my kit as lightweight as possible. I've got a remote control setup, and this I use for long exposures at night. I don't use a macro lens anymore, and I actually use an extension tube. So it's a cool little tip is it's a hollow tube. You put it between your lens and your camera body, and it allows you to get closer detail with small items. I always carry a couple of spare batteries. I've got lens cleaning tissue, and finally, in this pocket here, I've got a cloth which a little bit of spray or something hits the camera, I can wipe down the camera. And being a good guide, I've got a little first aid kit that I take with me as well, just in case. So you can see from this small bag, it's a very compact, skinny bag, 3 lenses, 1 body. I try and keep my kit as small as possible. I'm Darran Leal, and that's what's in my kit.
Earlier in the series, we put the Fujifilm X-T2 through its paces, and I was very impressed. It has the look, feel, and image quality of an SLR camera. However, it is mirrorless, so the body and lenses are much smaller and lighter. This week, we're going to look at some of the lenses available to this system. Let's start at the wide end of the spectrum. Here I have a 16mm f1.4 lens. Because this is a mirrorless camera lens, it is equivalent to a 24mm focal length. I'm in the Dandenong Ranges, which is home to the mountain ash, the tallest flowering plant on the planet. I'm using the 16mm f1.4 on the Fuji X-T2. It's a fantastic lens for this type of habitat. It's weather and dust resistant, and the 1.4 aperture allows me to suck in a lot of light when I'm working on the forest floor. It's excellent for shooting these tall, towering trunks. I'm photographing the tallest moss in the forest, Dawsonia. The great thing about this lens is that it has a minimum focusing distance of about 15 centimetres, so you can grab macro shots with it. I'm also using the flip out screen to look down through the camera so I don't have to lie in the mud. Next, my attention is drawn to the 35mm f2 lens. It is equivalent to 53mm and is also weather and dust resistant, like the wide lens. This focal distance is very close to what the human eye perceives, so it's well suited to street and portraiture photography. I've just been shooting Mike in his studio, and I've been using the 35mm lens. It's great for getting close-up portraits. What I like the most about it is it's got a really wide aperture, f2, so I can really have a shallow depth of field and drop all the detail out and just focus on his eyes. Finally, we're going to look at the long end of the scale with the 100 to 400mm super telephoto lens. It's equivalent to over 600mm and it weighs less than 1.4 kilograms. I should also mention that a 2x converter is available, which gives it a range of up to 1200mm. I love zoom lenses. They're fantastic for shooting wildlife because if the animal happens to come closer, you don't need to change lenses. You can zoom in or zoom out depending on the composition that you want. I'm photographing a flock of pelicans who are preening, but every now and then one jumps into the water and swims past. All I need to do is zoom out, and then I can compose completely different pictures. Using long lenses can be difficult. It's always best to use a shutter speed faster than the length of your lens. So if you've got a 400mm lens, start at 1/500th of a second or higher. But with image stabilisation, you're able to use slower shutter speeds with longer lenses. With the super fast autofocus and image stabilisation of this lens, I'm able to capture sharp images all the time. Well, there you have it. Just 3 lenses from the Fujifilm X series. Between these lenses, there is so much range. I can't get over just how compact and light they are, but also how sharp, quick focusing and hardy they are too.
I'm here at Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week Australia, the most anticipated fashion event in Sydney. The best of the best are here and it is just flooding with photographers. So let's go chat to some. We're trying to work out how to take that catwalk photo. Do you have any tips or how do you do it?
Get up high because there's a lot of people in front of you, and also get a long lens out and go shoot straight into it.
Fast shutter as well, just to capture all the movement and make sure it's all in focus and sharp.
A lot of patience, standing up on things. A lot of kind of trying to get over other people. But just getting there early and getting to the middle, I'd say is the best because otherwise you have to change the lights. But it's just waiting for that one perfect moment which is not blinking.
Now, we met in the media scrum.
Yes, it was definitely a scrum.
It was a scrum.
You got to really almost go ghetto on them. You got to stand and go, yo, this is my spot. You know, you have Getty Images and these guys, they already have their spots, but a lot of times it's just guys being rude and they trying to take advantage of people who don't know the game. Like some of the stuff you see, like a guy, you'll see someone who's been standing there for standing in a spot for 10 minutes. Everyone runs in and then somebody comes along and say, this is my spot. Now, if you don't know how it works, you actually move.
The biggest challenge is actually initially getting into the riser if you're shooting runway. That's hard. But once you're there, just making sure that you've got everything set before you go.
I'm trying to get the model right in the middle and shoot always just when the model step properly on the floor, on the ground, take the shot, then later on just focus on the face and take a close-ups.
When it comes to shooting that image, is anyone getting in the way or?
Oh, especially in the pit. Well, everyone gets the place at the beginning, so you need to work it out with the other photographers. And then later on, you have a clear view, you shoot.
What's the perfect shot to you?
We always look to make the eyes the sharpest focus because that's what draws people in as well. But it's quite hard on a catwalk because they're all concentrating and looking down most of the time.
You got to come prepared for doggy dog. Most people I think are courteous and polite, but when it comes to here, it's like watching a pack of wolves trying to feed.
So that's a wrap for Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. And if we've learned anything from the photographers today, it's that you've got to be a wolf in the media pit. Darran, on the show, we like to ask our guests if they can give us a tip that we can use in our own photography.
Well, photography-wise, KISS is the best principle. Keep it simple, no one's stupid.
Love that one.
In this day and age, there's a trend towards making photography complex and difficult. It doesn't need to be that way. So, there's nothing wrong with shooting program, for example. And generally, we say shoot aperture priority. So, aperture priority, 5.6 if you or your subject's moving, and F11 for landscapes and creative imagery. And at 400 ISO, you'll get a great shot.
Every time.
Not quite, but nearly.
99.9% of the time. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, Darran.
No troubles, Maddie.
Jace, I honestly think you and Darran have the best jobs in the world.
Look, I agree, it's incredible. But it's a lot of hard work, but it's so fascinating to visit other countries and cultures. You've just been away yourself, haven't you?
I have. I escaped a Sydney winter and went back to my favourite place, Bali.
Now, it's great to escape the winter, but Sydney's really not that cold.
Well, it's not as cold as Melbourne, but I did take lots of photos and I did make a photo book.
Photo books are a fantastic way to share a holiday with family and friends. It's also a great excuse for culling down your images and learning to tell the story better.
That's right, Jace, and there was a lot of photos to go through.
I can only imagine. Tell us about the trip.
I'll show you. It We went over for a wedding we did, so we kind of started with a 4-day holiday before on one of the islands, Gillies Islands. A little bit of a pre-cocktail.
Yes.
Happy hour all day.
And weddings are one of those things that people really need to take a lot of pictures at because the day goes so fast.
Here's the wedding, isn't it beautiful?
That's fantastic, yeah.
There's the bridal party, I've just slotted myself in there.
Okay, there you go.
And we did hike a mountain. I managed to get some exercise in at the end of the trip.
It's always great to close on an image that represents the end of a trip. In this case, it's a sunset over a mountain range. Good work. The wonderful thing about these photo books is that the paper is semi-gloss and it's archive grade, so you know it's going to last a long time. When I make a photo book, I plan to hand them down to my family, knowing that the colours will still be as rich and vibrant then as they are now. So was it difficult to make?
No, Jace, it was so easy and it's all made through the Snapfish website. The website is really intuitive and has some great features to kickstart your creative side. Firstly, you choose the size of your book and whether you want it to be bound with a soft cover, hard cover, or even in leather or linen. There are heaps of preset layouts to choose from, so you can pick one that fits your book perfectly. I chose the Aloha design. Next, I uploaded my photos and that's where the fun began. I was able to tell my story of the trip by selecting placement of my photos, adding custom background, text, and embellishments. It turned out great and I'm really proud to show my friends.
You should be, Mads. It looks really professional. And what a great way to remember your holiday. You can also create a photographic portfolio, a wedding album, or maybe even a family album.
That's right, Jace, and that's why the photo book is our Snapfish product of the week.
If you'd like to join our Snap Happy community, go to our website at snaphappytv.com for exclusive content, competitions, and special offers from our sponsors.
We'll see you next week on Snap Happy, the photography show.
I love zoom lenses. They're fantastic for shooting wildlife because if the animal happens to come closer, you don't need to change lenses. You can zoom in or zoom out depending on the composition that you want. I'm photographing a flock of penguins preening.